Remember when President Trump said this about North Korea?
To what do you owe this recent openness to talk?
Me. No, I think that nobody got that.
Well, somebody got that. GOP Senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, who has never been shy to criticize the president, tweeted, and I quote, "If there is an agreement reached between the United States, North Korea, and the rest of the world regarding the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, the lion's share of credit will go to President Trump for his strong stand." Surprising? Well, let's ask the Federalist, Bre Payton. Bre, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that Senator Graham is absolutely right. I mean, the facts are clear. Before Donald Trump, denuclearization was not on the table. North Korea was not willing to talk about us at all. And now Donald Trump is in office. He's been very firm. He's been very clear. He hasn't capitulated when Kim Jong-un has threatened us with violence or with missile tests. He has been firm and said, hey, you mess with us, we're going to punch back. And that's a message that Kim Jong-un can understand, because clearly decades of capitulation, and offering aid to his people is not what he responds to. He responds to strength, and that's what Donald Trump has shown.
And perhaps some unpredictability. I mean, doesn't that kind of help in this case? Because Kim Jong-un has to be looking at the situation saying, this guy says he may take me down, and he may in fact take me down. What's to stop him?
Yeah, I think that that's absolutely a great point. I think that Donald Trump definitely knows how to speak to Kim Jong-un in a way that he clearly seems to be understanding. Now, we don't know the full extent, if North Korea will end up denuclearizing. There's been some recent satellite images that suggest maybe the opposite is true. There's still a lot of details that remain murky. But I definitely, even the fact that they are, willing to talk about this, the fact that this is on the table marks a very different change. And I think Donald Trump just recognizing the fact that Kim Jong-un is only going to respond to strength. He's only going to respond to, the threat of force, and the threat of power has been a game changer, because, decades of, offering to ease sanctions, decades of offering them aid, decades of being willing to go in and help Kim Jong-un's people has not worked for the North Korean regime. They don't care about their people. They are willing to starve them and torture them and do all of these other things to them. So I think the game changer here has been Donald Trump realizing, hey, offering to help out his people, not going to work. What is going to work is, threatening to punch back.
Yeah.
And being firm.
It's a completely different tactic, right, than anything we have seen in years.
Yeah, and I mean, it remains to be seen if this ends up being a success and if he is able to broker a deal. I think definitely Donald Trump being just very pragmatic about this whole thing and not, overthinking a lot of the philosophy behind this, but just saying, hey, this is a guy who's only going to respond to force. This is what I'm going to push him with. I'm going to make it very clear that he needs to come to the table. And if he doesn't come to the table, there's consequences that might come with that. I think that very clearly has been a better tactic, and the one difference has been a change in administration, a change in people running the show. I think clearing out a lot of lifetime bureaucrats in the State Department in this case may end up being a good thing. I mean, a lot of people freaked out, but if conventional wisdom is not working, why repeat the same thing and expect a different result?
Yeah, we've got that agitator in chief, so to speak. Hey, thank you so much, Bre. Good to see you.
Of course. Thank you so much.